So I recently went to England and I wanted to run down a little bit of the gear that worked out for me that I brought there to hopefully help you out in case you're wanting to know what to bring, and as well as the experiences that we had in England and which ones we would recommend the most that we got to do, in hopes that it'll help you out as a photographer, videographer, I guess content creator, to be able to maximize your time in England. First things first is the gear. I decided to take an 18-liter camera bag like the Nomadic Peter McKinnon bag because it is one, very stylish, two, very great with the ergonomics of space and everything for the size, and three, it just made more sense than having to bring too big of a bag like the 35-liter that I have or anything smaller, because there was a lot of gear that I wanted to bring, and as well my computer and everything to fit comfortably without having to sacrifice any space. So the first thing is, what gear did I bring? I obviously had my laptop put in here, but the good thing is once you arrive to your hotel, you can take it out, and anything that came with for, computer kind of stuff, whether it's chargers, backups of memories, or anything of the sort. So nothing of that I'm going to cover because it just doesn't make sense. We're going to go more into the camera gear. I decided to bring two cameras because one, I use one for more of the video part of things, and two, I use one as a hybrid to make sure that I have a lot of photos, but as well good quality video. So now you may ask, what cameras was I able to bring? Well, I decided to bring my Sony a7 IV and my Sony a7S III over my ZV-E1 and my a7C Mark II, despite that they're smaller cameras, but the same, type of sensor and everything. So now you might be wondering, why did I bring these two cameras? Well, the main reason why is because of their, weather sealant and everything. So knowing that it's the UK, it tends to kind of rain quite a bit, and I wanted to make sure that I would have everything covered as well as possible so nothing would get damaged, to be able to create all the content that I wanted to create. So now the a7 IV was my hybrid, workhorse, because I was able to use it for about 80% of the time that I was out there to take photos and a lot of B-roll videos, and using my a7S III as more of a little bit of the vlogging part of things, but a lot of the video when I was out and about to create a lot of the, kind of B-roll or behind the scenes videos with high quality for anything that I wanted to piece together, like for example in this video. Now, another little camera that really helped out the whole time while I was there to be my miniature vlog camera, and as well my POV kind of type of camera for street photography, behind the scenes, or anything that I was creating, was my Insta360 Go 3. This little beast of a camera is just so great because it pops up and I can kind of vlog with it. I can take it out of its little chamber, put it on my chest with its little necklace that it has right here, and be able to capture everything that I needed to be able to have some, behind the scenes type of footage, or if I wanted to do a quick session of vlogging, despite of it not being the, best quality of some sort, still did the job perfectly fine, and 100% would recommend doing something of this sort. And of course, you can't forget having some crisp audio, which I brought my Synco microphones because it has a charging case with them, so I'm able to just go ahead and put them back in there to charge, but also use them to be able to have some great sound, whether I wanted to use just that little kind of like the microphone, or if I wanted to use a lav microphone and the windscreen. Just worked out nicely to be able to make sure that I capture the sound so crispy, and to make sure that it sounds great for you guys to enjoy. Of course, you have to have your filters, but most of the time I have the Shore Stash Polar Pro Mist Polarizer and the everyday type of filter on my lenses like religiously, but I also have a little bit of variable ND filters that I like to bring with me, because obviously want to make sure that I have the proper exposure for my videos with the right shutter angle rule. As for lenses, let's get into that nitty gritty, because there's a little bit to cover of why I brought all these lenses, and it'll make sense hopefully because it made sense for me. Right now, I have my 20-40 by Tamron over here with my ZV-E1 that I didn't bring, but I brought my 20-40. I brought the Sigma 24-70, and as well, I brought my 35-150. Now, you might be wondering, why bring up so many lenses when it comes down to traveling? Don't I want to be more fast and efficient? Haven't I made a video that I was going to bring only maybe a 24-70? Yes, correct, you're right, but I knew what I wanted to create and what I would need, so I knew that I had to bring them. There are different purposes for all of them and what I needed them for. The 20-40 just worked out really great to do some type of, vlogging style of setups whenever I needed to, or just to have a small carry whenever it came down to pairing it with the a7 IV to walk around, go into the subway or anything, to capture some B-roll, some photos, or anything on my way to a certain location, while also using the 24-70 for that same purpose for, from time to time whenever it was needed. The 35 35 to 150 was more locked into my camera whenever it was going to be at a certain location that I knew that I needed to have that kind of like extra punch and range for the things that I wanted to capture. So most of the time I would bring my camera bag like this to be able to kind of just, interchange lenses and capture what I needed to. But I also brought a sling, kind of bag that I had from Wonder, which is the 6-liter. It's upstairs right now. I'm too lazy to get it, but just believe me when I say that it was great to bring it, because I was able to most of the time just put my A7 IV with a 24 to 70 or the 35 to 150, while then bringing this bad boy as my vlogging setup and behind the scenes kind of camera to be able to capture everything. And that system worked out perfectly. I was able to condense what needed to be able to capture the things that I needed to, still with just a sling bag just to walk around, or I was able to bring, a bigger setup to be able to capture everything with all my gear that I needed to bring to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Now, if I would have had something that would be higher quality for an action camera like the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, well, I would honestly say, yeah, that would be something better to bring than having to bring, let's say, my Go 3, or bring like maybe the A7S III and just bring my A7 IV with the 35 to 150, or maybe a 24 to 70 to save on space and everything. But since I knew what I was getting into, there wasn't really much else that I could, take away from it, just how to do that. And of course, that's the gear that I thought would work great. There's nothing that I would have left behind, to be honest. So hopefully that helps you out into the gear of what you could bring. But if you need one lens to rule them all that you might need, a 24 to 70 would be your best bet, which if you only have that, I would only use that, honestly. But that's pretty much what it comes down to, the gear that I brought. And of course, like, minor things like, extra batteries and things of that sort. But that's pretty much it when it comes down to the gear part. So now I want to run down into the places that we managed to make our time efficiently to go to, and what I would recommend if you're wanting to do something similar to us. We decided to make our home base in London because it would just make it easier to just take day trips to the cities nearby that we wanted to reach out to make sure that we would make our time as well as possible to, reach out the locations we wanted to check off our list, so that we could have a good time but not feel overly exhausted. As we flew in from Houston all the way to London, we decided to stay in the downtown London area at the Royal Horse Guards Hotel, which was a phenomenal place to stay at because it is so close to Big Ben and as well the London Eye, and a lot of cool little areas nearby with train stations and subways nearby, that it just made so much sense to, put a little bit of the extra cost into that, since we were going to plan to do other things and we needed a good, place to be to maximize our time there. Plus, we got it on a really good deal since it was like the off season for them, but it's our in season for us since it was Thanksgiving time break. So it just makes sense for us, and their loss is our gain and whatnot, so they still, I'm sure, made their own money anyway, but it was really great to stay there. One of the reasons that it just made sense to kind of have our London base was because we knew that the light was just limited when it came down to having sunlight for a brief amount of hours due to it being winter. Since the sunrise was about like 7 a.m. or so, and sunset would be around 3:30 to 4-ish time, and it would start kind of like decreasing, from there and getting darker, we knew that we would do more day trips rather than staying a whole day and or night in most of these kind of nearby cities. So it just didn't make sense to do anything different. And that's something that I would recommend as a content creator. If you're a photographer, videographer, or do social media or anything, try to find a place where you can kind of, have everything of yours set so that you can just minimize what you bring out every single time. Whether for us would be to bring my sling bag only or my camera bag for certain travels, just made it a lot easier than having to worry about where I was going to bring my suitcase and everything of that sort. But it was great for us because as we flew into London, we stayed the night. The next morning, we went to Oxford and we got to do a day trip to explore it. It's a fairly short train ride. It's about an hour and so minutes, to get there. And it was great because we were able to explore the historic parts of, Oxford, getting to take some great photos, architecture, street photography, you name it, it was great there. And there was so much to see in the amount of time that we had, that we were actually, exploring so much that by the time that it wasn't even close to relatively sunset, we were kind of already exhausted and we were fine to just make our way back to London. We got to see so much, capture so much, that it just was so much fun to be able to go as a day trip rather than having to stay the night there and kind of try to make the day be as long as possible, because it just didn't make sense for us. So we went ahead, captured Oxford, took photos, took videos, saw everything that we needed to see there, and made our way back to London to just relax and enjoy ourselves, to be able to just have that energy for the next day, because obviously time difference. The next day we wanted to go to Bath because it was just another short train ride away. And there's so much history in Bath to see the Roman bathhouses and experience so many cool things that obviously you've seen some of the videos. If you have, follow the channel and everything, but if you haven't, go check out the other videos of the experiences so you can see them a little bit more in depth. But going to Bath, getting some nice photos of historic sites with people just being, around that kind of architecture and history is so great to capture, and just see so many cool things in the locations of Bath, whether it was inside the Roman bathhouses or as well in just the nearby areas with the churches and the Christian markets of the sort. But as well, what can you do whenever you're in London? Well, I don't know, maybe explore it. We did a 23,000 or so steps of, exploring of London and going out and about to create some photos and videos that I just wanted to have for showcasing for videos. And we got to see so much. And one of the most important things when it comes down to travel for me is to make sure you do the touristy things, because you can capture the right photos. Even if people have done them before, it'll still help you see things. But also, you never know, you might create something different that people couldn't have seen whenever they were at the typical touristy spots. And that was what we did. We obviously saw the London Eye, we saw Big Ben from multiple locations, and as well as to see the Tower Bridge, which had so much history to see and so much of a skyline to explore. The cool thing about going up the Tower Bridge and not just staying below to see it from the ground is that you get to see the London skyline and beyond. You get to see the nice river, the nice architecture, and everything that's nearby from two sides of the Tower Bridge that I 100% would recommend you doing. That was the first time being in England for us, so we were trying to find as much that we could capture, and boy oh boy did the Tower Bridge alone deliver it so much. Seeing both sides of it, just getting to see all the angles of England from above and everything like that was just so great that I honestly was probably the most excited part of that, was just going to the Tower Bridge to experience it, because some of the photos there just felt like they were AI. They felt like people would be like, yeah, you didn't take that photo, but yeah, it was awesome to see and experience. But of course, getting to just keep walking around and exploring, London and just having a good time was just something that was very recommended. While then, going back to our hotel to be able to relax and be good for the next few days, because we had so much to explore still. And as it being the first time in England for my wife and I, we wanted to see everything and anything to capture some amazing photos, and as well the nearby section that you can't go to England without experiencing Stonehenge, in my honest opinion. Some people might just think they're just rocks or whatever, they're just stupid, you just go around them and see them, but to be honest, it's just much more than that. I think just being able to see something so historic from thousands of years ago is something just different and cool, and we got to experience that, take some photos there and be creative with it as much as possible, that it just made so much sense for us to go. And I was super excited to be able to experience it, that I'm trying to tell people to actually make the time to go do it, because it was really great. So all those places that I've kind of been mentioning are just 100% worth it, because if you're into photography, videography, you're going to enjoy the sights that you get out of those places, and you're gonna enjoy the photos, the videos, the memories, and everything that you're gonna get from those places. And of course, a bonus if you're into tennis, and I made a video about it, is going to Wimbledon, because Wimbledon was just something cool to experience doing their little tour that they have for the year-round thing, especially right now it's off season. So it was just great to see and have an experience, because I'm a tennis player. So of course I have to kind of push that into the video, because if you're into tennis, hopefully you might enjoy it yourself as well. But now overall, when it comes down to traveling to England, if you're ready to go, or maybe you've never been to it before, or you want to see some of the different places that you didn't get to experience, hopefully the insight of what gear to bring will help you out, what really worked and what didn't, and as well, what locations we went to that maybe you could go to if you didn't get to experience, or if you've never been, it'll help you out to know what to add to your list to make sure that you have an amazing English experience, especially in the London, Oxford, Bath, Stonehenge area, since that's where we stayed at this time. Of course, in the future, we want to go and experience more of the UK, go to Ireland, and go to, Scotland and everything of the sort, but time was limited, so we had to make the most out of it, and we just had a lot of fun doing it. So wanted to share this experience of going to England for the first time to capture it, and, kind of document a little bit of what worked with our gear that I brought, and as well the locations that we were able to visit that are worth it. Everything that I spoke to today, obviously, is my opinion and it's my experience, experience, but I hope that with that experience and opinion based off of, getting to do it will help you out into your decisions for the future. And I hope that you will have a lot of fun if you ever go to England, just like how me and my wife did, that we're excited to go back hopefully in the next near future. But definitely a lot of fun. So if you have any input that you want to share down below, make sure to leave a comment, and maybe it'll help out other people's, maybe it'll help me out for the future, or maybe you just feel like having a comment and just discussion down below. Go ahead and do that because it's very appreciated. Oh, with all that said and done, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, share this video with a friend. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.